Did you know that thousands of Filipinos leave their homeland chasing dreams of a better life only to end up homeless wandering the streets of foreign lands? From dazzling cities to promised lands, their lives are trapped by job loss, deception, and crushing loneliness. Which country tops this shocking list? Watch to uncover the heart-wrenching truth behind the journey of our overseas Kababian. Number 7, Italy. And now we move to a country that many Filipinos see as a dream destination, a place of art, fashion, and history. But for thousands of overseas workers, Italy has turned into a survival battle. More than 170,000 Filipinos live and work here. Most are caregivers, domestic helpers, and hospitality workers. The dream, steady jobs, and a better life. The reality, sky-high rent and unstable income that can push you to the streets. Why is this happening? In cities like Rome, Milan, and Venice, housing costs have exploded. A small apartment can cost over €1,000 a month. That's nearly an entire month's wage for many Filipino workers. And when a contract ends or a job is lost, there's no safety net. Many end up crammed into tiny, unsafe rooms. Or with no shelter at all. The numbers are alarming. It's estimated that between 1,200 and 1,500 Filipinos in Italy are without stable housing right now. And for undocumented workers, the risk is even higher. They avoid seeking help. Afraid of being reported to immigration, the impact goes beyond shelter. Without a stable address, workers lose access to healthcare, legal aid, and even banking services. Some find themselves trapped in low-we-pay-off books jobs just to survive. Government officials insist their housing programs are available to all residents. But critics argue those programs rarely reach migrant workers. Nonprofits and churches are filling the gap, but resources are stretched thin. And here's the question. If this can happen in a developed European country known for its social safety nets, what does that mean for Filipinos and other nations with far fewer protections? Stay with me. Because in the next country, the housing crisis isn't just about rent. It's about a system that can lock workers out of any legal path to survival. Number 6, United Arab Emirates. From the cobblestone streets of Italy, we jump to the futuristic skyline of Dubai and Abu Dhabi, a land of glittering towers, luxury malls, and endless job ads. But behind the glossy image, thousands of Filipinos are fighting to keep a roof over their heads. The UAE is home to more than 700,000 Filipinos. They work in construction, hotels, retail, and as domestic helpers. For many, it's a stepping stone to financial freedom. But for others, it becomes a fast track to homelessness. What's driving this? The cost of living here has skyrocketed. A simple shared room can cost as much as a small house rental back in the Philippines. Add sudden job loss, a contract dispute, or a cut in working hours. And many find themselves unable to pay rent. The numbers are hard to ignore. Right now, an estimated 2,000 to 2,500 Filipinos in the UAE are without stable housing. Some sleep in overcrowded workers' quarters. Others stay with friends or even hide in unfinished buildings to avoid detection. One major cause is contract substitution. Workers sign contracts in the Philippines with promised wages and benefits, but upon arrival, they discover the terms have changed. Lower pay, longer hours, fewer rights. Some quit in protest, but that means losing legal status almost instantly. The UAE points to labor reforms and amnesty programs designed to protect workers. Officials say anyone facing abuse or illegal contract changes can file a complaint. But critics warn that in practice, fear of retaliation keeps many silent. And for undocumented workers, the risk of arrest is enough to stop them from seeking help. The bigger problem, once a worker loses legal status, they're shut out of formal housing, healthcare, and even banking. Survival often means taking illegal jobs, which opens the door to further exploitation. In one of the richest nations on earth, how can so many still end up with nothing? Number 5, Canada. From the scorching deserts of the UAE, we jump to a country known for its maple leaves, wide open landscapes, and promises of a better life. Canada. For many Filipinos, it's the ultimate goal. A land of opportunity, permanent residency, and stability. But for thousands, the reality is much colder. Canada is home to more than 957,000 Filipinos, one of the largest overseas communities in the world. Many work in healthcare, hospitality, and skilled trades. The dream, secure jobs, and a path to citizenship. The challenge, housing costs that can drain your income overnight. The situation is severe. In cities like Toronto and Vancouver, rent has reached record highs. A one-bedroom apartment can easily eat up half or more of a worker's monthly pay. Lose your job, face a visa delay, or struggle to transition from temporary work permits to permanent residency, and you could find yourself without a place to stay. The numbers tell the story. An estimated 2,500 to 3,000 Filipinos in Canada are currently homeless. Many end up in overcrowded shelters, sleeping in their cars, or relying on friends for temporary refuge. And when winter hits with temperatures plunging below -20 degrees Celsius, homelessness isn't just uncomfortable, it's deadly. Temporary foreign workers face strict timelines for renewing or changing their visas. Any gap in employment can leave them without legal status and without access to housing programs. The government points to strong social services and affordable housing initiatives, but critics say these programs fail to reach migrant workers quickly enough. Filipino community groups often step in to fill the gap, offering emergency funds, food drives, and temporary housing. Still, resources are limited. Keep watching because our next country has one of the wealthiest economies in the Middle East, but its labor system has pushed thousands of Filipinos into homelessness.
Number 4, Qatar.
Here, the sun blazes over luxury skyscrapers and billion-dollar stadiums rise from the desert.
Qatar, one of the richest countries on earth.
But behind the wealth, thousands of Filipinos are struggling just to keep a roof over their heads. Around 300,000 Filipinos work in Qatar. Most are in construction, healthcare, and hospitality. The promise, high wages, tax-free income, and steady work. The reality, unpaid salaries, sudden job losses, and a housing market that's far out of reach. The numbers are staggering. It's estimated that between 2,500 and 3,500 Filipinos in Qatar are homeless right now. Some share cramped rooms with more than a dozen people. Others hide in unfinished buildings or live in makeshift shelters trying to avoid the authorities. One of the biggest culprits is the kafala system. Though officially reformed in practice, it still ties workers' legal status to their employers. If you lose your job, you lose your visa. And without legal status, you can't rent a place or even open a bank account. The government points to new labor laws, a minimum wage, and the right to change jobs without employer approval. But critics say enforcement is weak. Workers fleeing abusive employers still face threats, withheld passports, and unpaid wages. For Filipinos on the ground, survival means improvisation. Some rely on church groups and community networks. Others turn to the Philippine embassy for shelter, but space is limited. Those without help are left to fend for themselves, often at great personal risk. And here's the question. If this is happening in one of the wealthiest nations per capita in the world, what does that say about the global system meant to protect migrant workers? Number 3, Saudi Arabia. From the glittering skyline of Doha, we move to the heart of the Arabian Peninsula. Saudi Arabia, home to oil wealth megaprojects and the largest population of overseas Filipinos in the Middle East. Over 800,000 Kabayans live and work here. But for thousands, the kingdom has become a place of survival, not success. Saudi Arabia is the #1 destination for overseas Filipino workers. Jobs in construction, healthcare, and domestic service promise steady pay. But many discover that behind the contract is a system that can trap them in poverty or worse on the streets. The reality is harsh. The controversial kafala system still looms large. Lose your job or walk away from an abusive employer and you lose your legal status instantly. For many, that means losing access to housing, banking, and healthcare overnight. The numbers are alarming. An estimated 300 to 3,500 Filipinos in Saudi Arabia are currently homeless. Some live in overcrowded embassy shelters waiting for repatriation. Others are forced to sleep in public spaces or in unfinished buildings where safety is non-existent. Common causes: unpaid wages, contract violations, physical and verbal abuse. And for domestic workers, the problem is even worse. They're excluded from many of the labor reforms that cover other professions. Officials point to recent labor changes, including the right for workers to change jobs without employer consent. But human rights advocates argue that these reforms are unevenly applied and too often fail to protect the most vulnerable. For Filipinos on the ground, hope lies in community networks. Church groups, fellow Kababayans, and the Philippine Embassy provide shelter, legal aid, and food assistance. But with the scale of the problem, help is never enough.
Number 2, Kuwait.
A country of glittering malls, oil wealth, and one of the highest concentrations of overseas Filipino workers in the region. About 250,000 Kababayan live and work here, but thousands are without a home tonight.
The scale is shocking.
An estimated 4,000 to 5,000 Filipinos in Kuwait are homeless right now. That's proportionately one of the highest rates in the entire Middle East. Many are domestic workers who fled abusive employers. Others lost jobs, wages, or their legal status overnight.
The root of the crisis. Once again, the kafala system.
It binds a worker's legal status directly to their employer. If you quit, if you're fired, or even if you escape abuse, you instantly become undocumented. No legal status means no housing contract, no bank account, and no access to formal help.
And there's more.
Strict visa rules make it almost impossible to stay in the country legally without employer sponsorship. Some workers hide with friends, others seek shelter at the Philippine embassy, but space is limited. The rest survive in overcrowded rooms or in unsafe temporary spaces.
Kuwait's official stance.
The government points to recent labor reforms, promises of better enforcement, and the availability of shelters for abused workers. But critics argue these measures are too slow, too small, and leave thousands unprotected. On the ground, survival is a community effort. Church groups, Filipino organizations, and embassy staff stretch limited resources to provide food, legal aid, and tickets home. But for many, help comes only after months or years of hardship. And that leads to a bigger question. If a nation this small can have a homelessness crisis this large for migrant workers, what does that say about the world's ability or willingness to protect them? Stay with me because our number one country isn't in the Middle East at all. It's a global superpower home to millions of Filipinos, and yet it has one of the largest Filipino homeless populations anywhere in the world.
Number 1, United States.
The world's most powerful nation. The land of opportunity. The place millions dream of calling home. The United States, where nearly 4.5 million Filipinos live. But behind the American dream is a reality far too many never expected. The numbers are staggering. An estimated 4,000 to 5,000 Filipinos in America are homeless right now. That's more than any other country in our countdown. And it's not just in one city. From Los Angeles to New York, from Hawaii to Chicago, the crisis is everywhere. Why is this happening? For many, it's the crushing cost of living. Cities like Los Angeles and New York have some of the highest rents in the world. Add job loss, visa problems, or sudden medical bills, and even hard-working families can lose their homes overnight. For undocumented workers, the risks are even greater. One wrong step can mean deportation. Without legal status, finding safe housing is nearly impossible. Some end up living in cars. Others stay in shelters or on the streets invisible to most of society.
And here's the harsh truth.
America has no nationwide system for affordable housing that reaches everyone. Even U.S. citizens struggle to find shelter. For migrant workers, the challenge is multiplied by language barriers, legal fears, and the absence of strong safety nets. Filipino community groups, churches, and nonprofits work tirelessly to help. They provide food, emergency housing, and job connections. But the need is far greater than the resources available. If homelessness can reach this scale in one of the richest countries on earth, what hope is there for migrant workers anywhere else in the world? This is why the struggles of overseas Filipinos deserve more than sympathy. They demand solutions. Because behind every number is a person, a family, and a dream worth fighting for. And now I want to hear from you. Which country on this list shocked you the most? Have you or someone you know faced these struggles abroad? Share your story in the comments. Your voice might help someone else avoid the same fate. If you found this video eye-opening, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell because in our next video, we're uncovering another side of the migrant story, one most people never hear about. Stay informed, stay connected, and wherever you are, stay.